Hi, I'm Rocky Kramer, and you're watching Lifestyle TV USA.
This is real love, every time we touch, through all the times that have come and gone. This is real love, every time we touch, we still remember Cicada's love. This is real love, real love, real love, real love, real love, real love. We still remember Cicada's love. My heart has always been with you. 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 17 years time kept them away from the love, but the hand of faith brought them back again, yeah. Time had taken its toll and she couldn't remember. That's when Moby started dancing, the memories came back. A love from long ago, the feeling in their hearts was a love set in stone, and nothing will tear this love apart. This is real love, every time we touch, through all the times that have come and gone. This is real love, every time we touch, we still remember Cicada's love. This is real love, real love, real love, real love, real love, real love. We still remember Cicada's love. My heart has always been with you. 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 My heart has always been with you.
Hello, my name is Gina Roberts and I'm your Mrs. DC America 2020. You are watching Lifestyle TV USA, and I am asking for your prayers for me to win the crown of Mrs. America this Saturday. Thank you so much.
نیشنل کمانڈ اینڈ آپریشن سینٹر کے تازہ ترین اعداد و شمار کے مطابق گزشتہ 24 گھنٹوں کے دوران 1282 نئے کیسز رپورٹ ہوئے۔ پنجاب میں 3,44,799، سندھ میں 3,31,094، خیبر پختونخوا میں 1,36,819، بلوچستان میں 26,529، گلگت بلتستان میں 5,771، اسلام آباد میں 82,313، جبکہ آزاد کشمیر میں 19,893 کیسز رپورٹ ہوئے۔ ملک بھر میں اب تک 1,40,72,605 افراد کے ٹیسٹ کیے گئے۔ گزشتہ 24 گھنٹوں کے دوران 46,269 نئے ٹیسٹ کیے گئے۔ اب تک 8,89,787 مریض صحت یاب ہو چکے ہیں، جبکہ 2,296 مریضوں کی حالت تشویشناک ہے۔ پاکستان میں کورونا سے ایک دن میں 27 افراد جاں بحق ہوئے، جس کے بعد وائرس سے مرنے والوں کی تعداد 21,940 ہو گئی۔ پنجاب میں 10,615، سندھ میں 5,314، خیبر پختونخوا میں 4,257، اسلام آباد میں 775، بلوچستان میں 300، گلگت بلتستان میں 108 اور آزاد کشمیر میں 571 مریض جان سے ہاتھ دھو بیٹھے۔ وزیر اعظم عمران خان نے افغانستان میں فوجی کارروائی کے لیے امریکہ کو پاکستان میں اڈے دینے سے صاف انکار کر دیا۔ غیر ملکی ٹی وی کو انٹرویو دیتے ہوئے وزیر اعظم عمران خان کا اینکر کا سوال کہ کیا آپ امریکی حکومت کو اس بات کی اجازت دیں گے کہ وہ CIA کے ذریعے پاکستان سے سرحد پار القاعدہ، داعش اور طالبان کے خلاف انسداد دہشت گردی کارروائیاں کرے، کے جواب میں وزیر اعظم نے صاف انکار کر دیا۔ وزیر اعظم عمران خان نے کہا کہ بالکل نہیں، کسی صورت نہیں، ہم امریکہ کو پاکستانی سرزمین سے افغانستان میں کسی بھی طرح کی کارروائی کے لیے کوئی اڈا نہیں دیں گے۔ سوشل میڈیا پر وزیر اعظم عمران خان کا امریکی اینکر کو یہ دو ٹوک جواب وائرل ہو گیا ہے۔ عالمی بینک نے پانی اور صفائی کے نظام میں بہتری کے لیے پاکستان کے لیے 44 کروڑ 20 لاکھ ڈالر کی منظوری دے دی۔ ورلڈ بینک کے مطابق یہ مالیاتی تعاون پنجاب میں پانی اور صفائی کے نظام میں بہتری کے لیے ہے۔ یہ رقم پنجاب کے 16 پسماندہ اضلاع میں خرچ کی جائے گی۔ عالمی بینک کے مطابق منصوبے سے پنجاب کے 2000 دیہاتوں میں پانی اور صفائی کی سہولیات فراہم ہوں گی، جبکہ پانی کی فراہمی، صفائی کے انفراسٹرکچر اور خدمات کو اپ گریڈ کیا جائے گا۔ وفاقی وزیر برائے معاشی امور عمر ایوب کا کہنا ہے کہ IMF کو کہہ دیا ہے کہ ہماری منزل ایک ہی ہوگی، لیکن طریقہ کار مختلف ہو سکتا ہے۔ غیر ملکی خبر ایجنسی سے بات کرتے ہوئے وفاقی وزیر برائے معاشی امور عمر ایوب کا کہنا تھا کہ بین الاقوامی مالیاتی ادارے اور ہماری منزل پاکستان کی ترقی اور خوشحالی ہے، اور وزیر اعظم عمران خان اور ان کی معاشی ٹیم نے بھی IMF سے کہا ہے کہ ہماری منزل ایک ہی ہوگی، لیکن ہمارے طریقہ کار میں اختلاف ہو سکتا ہے۔ وفاقی وزیر نے کہا کہ قومی اسمبلی میں اپوزیشن لیڈر شہباز شریف نے روپے کی قدر میں کمی کی بات کی، جبکہ ان کے ہی وزیر خزانہ مفتاح اسماعیل نے یہ سلسلہ شروع کیا۔ سابقہ حکومت نے ڈالر کی قدر کو مصنوعی طور پر کم کیا، جس کے باعث ملکی برآمدات پر منفی اثر پڑا اور ہماری درآمدات سستی ہو گئی اور ہر چیز باہر سے آنا شروع ہو گئی۔ مسلم لیگ نون نے 24 ارب ڈالر صرف روپے کو 100 پر رکھنے کے لیے استعمال کیے۔ عمر ایوب کا کہنا تھا کہ پاکستان بیرونی قرضوں کی مد میں سالانہ 10 سے 12 ارب ڈالرز لے رہا ہے، اور اس میں سے 90% رقم سابقہ حکومتوں کے لیے ہوئے قرضوں کی ادائیگیوں پر خرچ ہو رہی ہے۔ ایک سوال کے جواب میں وفاقی وزیر نے کہا کہ جب تک وزارت توانائی کا قلمدان میرے پاس تھا، ہم نے IMF کو کہا تھا کہ بجلی کی قیمتوں میں اضافہ نہیں ہوگا۔ قومی اسمبلی میں قائد حزب اختلاف شہباز شریف کا کہنا ہے کہ موجودہ حکومت نے بدقسمتی سے جمہوری احتجاج، اختلاف رائے اور تنقید کو ذاتی دشمنی بنا دیا ہے۔ اپنے بیان میں شہباز شریف نے بلوچستان اسمبلی کے اپوزیشن ارکان پر لاٹھی چارج اور بدسلوکی کی شدید مذمت کرتے ہوئے کہا کہ موجودہ حکومت نے بدقسمتی سے جمہوری احتجاج، اختلاف رائے اور تنقید کو ذاتی دشمنی بنا دیا ہے۔ انتشار اور جبر کے ہتھ کنڈے غیر جمہوری، غیر پارلیمانی اور غیر سیاسی ہیں۔ پہلے قومی اسمبلی میں غیر جمہوری رویہ اپنایا گیا، اب یہی رویے بلوچستان اسمبلی میں نظر آ رہے ہیں۔ بلوچستان اسمبلی کے اپوزیشن ارکان پر تشدد اور انہیں اجلاس میں شرکت سے روکنا فسطائیت کی انتہا ہے۔ حکومت ارکان اسمبلی کی بات سنیں، اپوزیشن پر لاٹھی چارج اور انہیں اجلاس میں شرکت سے روکنا مسئلے کا حل نہیں۔ بلوچستان اسمبلی کے اپوزیشن ارکان کے جائز مطالبات اور محرومیوں کو دور کیا جائے، دونوں اطراف سے تحمل اور بالغ النظری کا مظاہرہ کیا جائے۔ سندھ حکومت نے پرائمری اسکول 21 جون سے کھولنے کا فیصلہ کر لیا۔ پارکس، انڈور جمز اور درگاہیں بھی 28 جون سے کھول دی جائیں گی۔ وزیر اعلیٰ سندھ کی زیر صدارت کرونا وائرس پر صوبائی ٹاسک فورس کا اجلاس ہوا۔ وزیر اعلیٰ نے کہا کہ ویکسین کم ہونے کی وجہ سے سینٹرز اتوار کو بند رہیں گے۔ بتایا گیا کہ اب تک 23,43,988 ویکسین صوبے کو موصول ہوئیں، جن میں سے 28,73,857 ویکسین استعمال ہو چکی۔ اجلاس میں پرائمری اسکولز 21 جون سے کھولنے کا فیصلہ کیا گیا۔ امیوزمنٹ پارکس، انڈور جمز اور مزارات 28 جون سے کھول دیے جائیں گے۔ اجلاس میں بتایا گیا کہ کورونا کیسز میں کمی آ رہی ہے۔ صوبے میں تشخیصی شرح 3.9 ہو گئی ہے، جبکہ کراچی میں تشخیصی شرح 8.08 اور حیدرآباد میں 4.3% ہے۔ جون میں 263 کورونا مریض انتقال کر گئے۔ وزیر اعلیٰ کا کہنا تھا کہ شہری SOPs پر عمل کرتے رہیں۔ اجلاس میں صوبائی وزراء ڈاکٹر عزرا پچوہو، سعید غنی، ناصر حسین شاہ، مشیر مرتضی وہاب، چیف سیکریٹری IG سندھ، ڈاکٹر باری، ڈاکٹر فیصل، ڈاکٹر قیصر سجاد سمیت دیگر نے شرکت کی۔ سندھ اسمبلی میں اپوزیشن لیڈر حلیم عادل شیخ نے کہا ہے کہ پیپلز پارٹی فاشسٹ جماعت ہے، مخالفین کے خلاف انتقامی کارروائیوں میں مصروف ہے۔ بلاول بھٹو مسٹر کلین نہیں، مسٹر کلین شپڈ ہے۔ کراچی میں ذرائع ابلاغ عامہ کے نمائندوں سے بات چیت کرتے ہوئے حلیم عادل شیخ نے کہا کہ بلاول صاحب خود کہتے رہے میری تقریر سنو، پھر ہم آپ کی سنیں گے۔ خود تقریر کر کر چل دیے اور حماد اظہر کی تقریر نہ سنی۔ بلاول نے کل کہا پاکستان میں گدھوں کی تعداد میں اضافہ ہوا، وہ گدھوں میں گھرے ہوئے ہیں، ان کے وزراء کی پوری टीम है। असल में सिंध में कुत्तों का इजाफा हुआ है। हलीम आदिल शेख का कहना था कि सिंध में ओपोजिशन पेशियां भुगत रही है। सिंध में चोरों लुटेरों की हुकूमत है। बिलावल जरा बाहर तो निकलो। NICVD कह कर ये थकते नहीं। NICVD के नदीम कमर ने 5 करोड़ एयर टिकट में झोंक दिया। 5 करोड़ में कितनी एंजियोग्राफियां हो सकती थी?
Hi, I'm Rocky Kramer, and you're watching Lifestyle TV, USA.
When Moby first met Camellia in the forest, they were just kids having some fun, yeah. They were young and of course they fell in love. He was dead just to see her smile. Little did they know they wouldn't see each other for quite a while. If only they would know their love would stand the test of time. This is real love, every time we touch. Through all the times that have come and gone. This is real love, every time we touch. We still remember Cicada's love. This is real love, real love, real love, real love, real love, real love. We still remember Cicada's love. My heart has always been with you. 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 17 years time kept them away from the love, but the hammer face brought them back again, yeah. Time had taken its toll and she couldn't remember. That's when Moby started dancing, the memories came back. A love from long ago, the feeling in their heart was a love set in stone, and nothing will tear this love apart. This is real love, every time we touch. Through all the times that have come and gone. This is real love, every time we touch. We still remember Cicada's love. This is real love, real love, real love, real love, real love, real love. We still remember Cicada's love.
Roberts, and I'm your Mrs. DC America 2020. You are watching Lifestyle TV USA, and I am asking for your prayers for me to win the crown of Mrs. America this Saturday. Thank you so much.
اقوام متحدہ نے میانمار کو اسلحہ بیچنے پر پابندی لگانے کے بجائے محض عالمی برادری سے اپیل کی ہے کہ میانمار کو اسلحہ نہ فروخت کیا جائے۔ غیر ملکی خبر رساں ادارے کے مطابق اقوام متحدہ جنرل اسمبلی نے قرارداد منظور کر کے میانمار کی فوجی بغاوت کی شدید مذمت کی، جس میں فروری میں ملک کی منتخب حکومت کا تختہ الٹ دیا گیا تھا۔ اقوام متحدہ نے میانمار کی فوج پر منتخب رہنما آنگ سان سوچی سمیت تمام سیاسی قیدیوں کو رہا کرنے کے لیے زور دیا، اگرچہ قرارداد پر عمل کرنا رکن ملکوں کے لیے قانونی طور پر لازمی نہیں، تاہم اس کی سیاسی طور پر بہت اہمیت ہے۔ اس قرارداد کی حمایت میں 119 ممالک نے ووٹ دیا اور صرف بیلاروس نے مخالفت کی، جبکہ چین، روس، بھارت سمیت 35 ممالک نے ووٹنگ میں حصہ نہیں لیا۔ روس اور چین میانمار کو سب سے زیادہ اسلحہ فروخت کرتے ہیں۔ میانمار کے لیے اقوام متحدہ کی خصوصی سفیر کرسٹین شارنر برگر نے جنرل اسمبلی سے اظہار کرتے ہوئے کہا کہ میانمار میں بڑے پیمانے پر خانہ جنگی کا حقیقی خطرہ ہے، وقت ہاتھ سے نکلتا جا رہا ہے اور فوجی بغاوت کو ختم کرنے کے امکانات کم ہوتے جا رہے ہیں۔ قرارداد میں حصہ نہ لینے والے بعض ممالک نے اسے میانمار کا اندرونی معاملہ قرار دیا تو کچھ نے کہا کہ اس قرارداد میں کچھ سال قبل روہنگیا مسلمانوں پر ہونے والے مظالم کا ازالہ نہیں کیا گیا، جب لاکھوں مسلمانوں کو میانمار سے ہجرت کرنی پڑی تھی۔ اقوام متحدہ کی جنرل اسمبلی نے اینٹونیو گوتریس کو دوسری بار بھی سیکریٹری جنرل مقرر کر دیا۔ عالمی خبر رساں ادارے کے مطابق اقوام متحدہ کی جنرل اسمبلی کے 75ویں سیشن کے صدر ولکان بوسکر نے اعلان کیا ہے کہ اقوام متحدہ کے سیکریٹری جنرل انتونیو گوتریس کا اگلی 5 سالہ مدت کے لیے بھی انتخاب کر لیا گیا ہے۔ انتونیو گوتریس کے عہدے کے دوسرے دور کا آغاز جنوری 2022 سے ہوگا اور آئندہ 5 برس تک جنرل سیکریٹری کے عہدے پر فائز رہیں گے۔ انہوں نے پہلی بار اپنا عہدہ 1 جنوری 2017 کو سنبھالا تھا۔ اس سے قبل انتونیو گوتریس 1995 سے 2002 تک پرتگال کے وزیر اعظم رہے، جبکہ 2005 سے 2015 کے درمیان اقوام متحدہ کے ہائی کمشنر برائے پناہ گزین کی حیثیت سے ذمہ داریاں نبھاتے رہے ہیں۔ انتونیو گوتریس کو دوسری بار بھی جنرل سیکریٹری کے عہدے پر مقرر کرنے کے لیے اقوام متحدہ کی جنرل اسمبلی میں 8 جون کو قرارداد پیش ہوئی تھی۔ ان کی بہترین کارکردگی کے باعث اراکین نے دوسری بار بھی فیصلہ انتونیو گوتریس کے حق میں دیا تھا۔ جنوبی افریقہ کی پولیس نے 10 بچوں کی پیدائش کا ڈرامہ رچانے والی خاتون کو گرفتار کر لیا۔ چند روز قبل عالمی میڈیا میں جنوبی افریقہ کی 37 سالہ خاتون نے اس وقت جگہ بنائی جب ان کے حوالے سے یہ مشہور ہوا کہ انہوں نے بیک وقت 10 بچے پیدا کر کے گینیز بک آف ورلڈ ریکارڈ میں اپنا نام درج کرا لیا ہے۔ نیوز رپورٹس کے مطابق 37 سالہ گوسیامے تھامارا نے نارمل ڈیلیوری سے 10 بچوں کو جنم دیا، جس میں 7 لڑکے اور 3 لڑکیاں شامل ہیں۔ تاہم واقعے کی تحقیقات کرنے پر پتہ چلا کہ خاتون نے جھوٹ بولا تھا اور ان کے ہاں کسی بچے کی پیدائش نہیں ہوئی ہے۔ خبر رساں ادارے کے مطابق خاتون نے بچوں کی پیدائش سے متعلق جھوٹ بولا تھا۔ گوسیامے تھامارا نفسیاتی مریض ہیں جنہیں علاج کے لیے اسپتال لایا گیا تھا، جبکہ وہ حاملہ بھی نہیں ہوئی تھیں، لہٰذا اب انہیں جھوٹ اور فراڈ کے الزام میں گرفتار کر لیا گیا ہے۔ دوسری جانب جنوبی افریقی حکام نے 10 بچوں کی پیدائش کی سختی سے تردید کرتے ہوئے کہا ہے کہ یہاں کسی بھی خاتون نے جڑواں بچوں کو جنم نہیں دیا ہے۔ ایران میں 13ویں صدارتی انتخابات میں قدامت پسند امیدوار ابراہیم رئیسی کامیاب ہو گئے، انہیں واضح برتری حاصل ہے۔ ایرانی وزارت داخلہ کے مطابق اب تک 90% ووٹوں کی گنتی مکمل ہو چکی ہے۔ انتخابات میں 28.6 ملین افراد نے حق رائے دہی استعمال کیا۔ ایرانی وزارت داخلہ کا کہنا ہے کہ صدارتی امیدوار ابراہیم رئیسی نے 17.8 ملین ووٹ حاصل کیے ہیں، محسن رضائی نے 3.3 ملین ووٹ حاصل کیے، امیر حسین غازی زادے نے 1 ملین سے زیادہ ووٹ حاصل کیے، جبکہ عبد الناصر ہمتی نے 2.4 ملین ووٹ حاصل کیے ہیں۔ ایرانی صدارتی دور میں شامل 4 امیدواروں میں سے 3 امیدواروں نے قدامت پسند امیدوار ابراہیم رئیسی کو جیت کی مبارکباد دے دی ہے۔ ایرانی صدر حسن روحانی نے بھی بغیر نام لیے جیتنے والے امیدوار کو مبارکباد پیش کر دی۔ ایران کے واحد اصلاح پسند صدارتی امیدوار عبد الناصر ہمتی نے قدامت پسند امیدوار ابراہیم رئیسی کو پیغام میں جیت کی مبارکباد دی ہے۔ دیگر 2 صدارتی امیدواروں محسن رضائی اور امیر حسن غازی زادہ ہاشمی نے بھی ابراہیم رئیسی کو مبارکباد دیتے ہوئے کہا کہ ملک کے مسائل کے حل کے لیے ابراہیم رئیسی مضبوط اور مقبول حکومت بنائیں گے۔ ایرانی صدر حسن روحانی نے بھی متوقع صدر کو جیتنے کی مبارکباد دیتے ہوئے کہا کہ واضح ہے کہ سب سے زیادہ ووٹ کس نے حاصل کیے ہیں۔ دنیا کا کوئی خطہ کرونا وائرس کی موذی وبا سے محفوظ نہیں۔ اس کی تیسری لہر کے دوران مریضوں اور اموات میں مسلسل اضافہ جاری ہے۔ دنیا بھر میں کرونا وائرس سے متاثرہ افراد کی تعداد 17,86,02,064 تک جا پہنچی ہے، جبکہ اس موذی وائرس سے اموات 38,66,932 ہو گئیں۔ کرونا وائرس کے دنیا بھر میں 1,16,12,052 مریض اسپتالوں، قرنطینہ مراکز میں زیر علاج اور گھروں میں آئسولیشن میں ہیں، جن میں سے 82,118 کی حالت تشویشناک ہے، جبکہ 16,31,23,080 کرونا مریض صحت یاب ہو چکے ہیں۔ امریکہ میں کرونا وائرس سے اب تک 6,16,920، بھارت میں 3,85,167، برازیل میں 4,98,621، فرانس میں 1,10,702، ترکی میں 49,071، روس میں 1,28,445، برطانیہ میں 1,27,956، اٹلی میں 1,27,225، ارجنٹینا میں 86,247، कोलंबिया में 98,746, सऊदी अरब में 7,650, चीन में 4,636 जबकि पाकिस्तान में 21,940 अफराद मौत के मुंह में जा चुके हैं।
Hi, I'm Rocky Kramer, and you're watching Lifestyle TV USA.
When Moby first met Camellia in the forest, they were just kids having some fun, yeah. They were young and of course they fell in love. He would dance just to see her smile, little did they know they wouldn't see each other for quite a while. If only they would know their love would stand the test of time. This is real love every time we touch. Through all the times that have come and gone. This is real love every time we touch. We still remember Cicada's love. This is real love, real love, real love, real love, real love, real love. We still remember Cicada's love. My heart has always been with you. 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 17 years time kept them away from the love, but the hand of fate brought them back again, yeah. Time had taken its toll and she couldn't remember. That's when Moby started dancing, the memories came back. A love from long ago, the feeling in their hearts was a love set in stone, and nothing will tear this love apart. This is real love every time we touch. Through all the times that have come and gone. This is real love every time we touch. We still remember Cicada's love. This is real love, real love, real love, real love, real love, real love. We still remember Cicada's love. My heart has always been with you.
am your Mrs. DC America 2020. You are watching Lifestyle TV USA, and I am asking for your prayers for me to win the crown of Mrs. America this Saturday. Thank you so much.
पाकिस्तानी फिल्म और टीवी इंडस्ट्री की मारूफ और बासलाहियत अदाकारा माया अली ने इंकशाफ किया है कि उन्होंने बॉलीवुड अदाकार अक्षय कुमार की फिल्म में उनके साथ काम करने के लिए ऑडिशन दिया था, जिसमें वो कामयाब भी हो गई थीं। मीडिया रिपोर्ट्स के मुताबिक माया अली ने अपने एक इंटरव्यू के दौरान इंकशाफ किया था कि वो अपने ड्रामा सीरियल मनमाइल की शूटिंग के फौरन बाद भारत चली गई थी, जहां उन्होंने बॉलीवुड अदाकार अक्षय कुमार की फिल्म में उनके साथ काम करने के लिए ऑडिशन दिया था। माया अली ने बताया कि वो अपने ऑडिशन में कामयाब हो गई थी और उनके फिल्म की शूटिंग शुरू ही होने वाली थी कि उसी दौरान भारत की जानिब से पाकिस्तानी फनकारों पर भारत में काम करने पर पाबंदी आयद कर दी गई थी। अदाकारा का कहना था कि पाबंदी के बाद भी हमने काम करने की कोशिश की थी और भारत के अलावा भी मुख्तलिफ मकामात पर शूटिंग पर गौर किया, लेकिन हम कामयाब न हो सके। उनका मजीद कहना था कि उन्होंने करण जौहर की तमाम फिल्में देखी हैं, जिससे अंदाज़ा लगाया जा सकता है कि माया अली को बॉलीवुड में काम करने का किस कदर शौक है। वाज़ेह है कि माया अली ने फिल्म और टीवी इंडस्ट्री में बेहतरीन अदाकारी करके अपना लोहा मनवाने के बाद अब कारोबारी मैदान में भी कदम रख दिया है। पाकिस्तान समेत सरहद के उस पार यानी भारत में भी अपनी गुलकारी से लाखों मद्दाहों के दिलों में घर करने वाले आलमी शोहरत याफ्ता गुलकार आतिफ असलम ने भारतीय गुलकार अरिजीत सिंह के साथ पाकिस्तान में परफॉर्म करने की ख्वाहिश जाहिर कर दी। आतिफ असलम, जो कि इन दिनों अपनी नई आने वाली म्यूजिक वीडियो रफ्ता रफ्ता की शूटिंग के लिए पाकिस्तान के शुमाली इलाके में मौजूद हैं, उन्होंने भारतीय गुलकार अरिजीत सिंह से अपनी ख्वाहिश का इजहार कर दिया। इस ज़मन में आतिफ असलम ने अपनी तस्दीकशुदा इंस्टाग्राम अकाउंट पर अपनी वीडियो शेयर की है जिसमें वो पाकिस्तान के शुमाली इलाके में गाड़ी में घूम रहे हैं। वीडियो में देखा जा सकता है कि आतिफ असलम गाड़ी में बैठकर बॉलीवुड गुलकार अरिजीत सिंह का मकबूल तरीन गाना हवाएं सुन रहे हैं और साथ ही अपने मोबाइल फ़ोन से कुदरत के हसीन मनाजिर की वीडियो भी बना रहे हैं। आतिफ असलम ने अपनी पोस्ट के कैप्शन में अरिजीत सिंह से मुखातिब होते हुए लिखा कि तस्वुर करें कि जैसे हम यहाँ अपने मद्दाहों के लिए परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं। वाज़ेह है कि गुज़िश्ता रोज़ से सोशल मीडिया पर यह खबर ज़ेरे गर्दिश है कि सज्जल अली बहुत जल्द आतिफ असलम की नई म्यूज़िक वीडियो में अपनी अदाकारी के जौहर दिखाएंगी।
Hi, I'm Rocky Kramer, and you're watching Lifestyle TV USA.
When Moby first met Camellia in the forest, they were just kids having some fun, yeah. They were young and of course they fell in love. He would dance just to see her smile, little did they know they wouldn't see each other for quite a while. If only they would know their love would stand the test of time. This is real love every time we touch. Through all the times that have come and gone. This is real love every time we touch. We still remember Cicada's love. This is real love, real love, real love, real love, real love, real love. We still remember.
Sounds awesome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Moby, Lifestyle with Dr. Moby. Let's welcome great guest. How are you doing, sir? Ian Gure, right?
Hey, how are you? I'm so happy to be here today.
Okay, great. So we are so fortunate. He is a really accomplished songwriter, award-winning songwriter and musician. So tell us about your journey.
Well, I studied in music at a very young age, not professionally, but I was 9 years old when my aunt Mitzi took me to a recording studio. And I remember getting there and feeling, wow, this is like so cool. The actual one place that I like to be at. Like I didn't like going to school very much, and I don't want to be a bad example, but but I didn't like it. And when I got there, I loved it. I loved being there. I loved the vibe. I loved what we got to do. And I recorded cover songs for about 3 years on that studio, in that studio with my first producer. And then I started writing my own music at home. And I went back to him and recorded a few original tracks, which I actually ended up putting on my debut album in 2012. And I had this crazy idea. Like, I wanted to go to college and, get married with a girl that I liked. She didn't even like me back, but I know, but but I liked her, and I wanted to go to college and get married and whatnot. And then one day I just woke up and said, this is stupid. You need to do something that you actually love. What is it that you do? And I never stopped singing or writing music. Like, it was always in my background. But that day I just decided, I'm going to do this for a living, and I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to be successful at it. It's the one thing in life that has filled my heart. And ever since then, I did music. And 2 months after, I released my debut single, Bubblegum. And it all went from there. It's been a journey. It's been a real exciting journey, but it's been cool. And I'm happy because I'm one of those lucky people that get to say, I actually wake up in the morning, and no matter how tired I am, no matter what kind of day I had the day before, I wake up and get to do what I want for a living, and that's a blessing.
That is true. That is a blessing. And we would definitely play some of your music for audience here. So I'm going to highlight a little bit of that. You were actually you got award too. So tell us about your awards.
Well, I got a few awards for several of my songs. The first one was one that was called Pop This Jam. It's actually not available because I did it with some Australian producers, and we had copyright issues because they were there, I was here, we couldn't get it together. But after that, I put out another song called Cry that got a few awards too, and that is available everywhere, singles. And I'm very glad that I won awards, but most of all, I'm glad that people get to relate to it, to the words. That was the first actual song, and I think Pop This Jam is a wonderful song, but people didn't get to appreciate it as much as they did Cry. And that was the first song that people wrote to me and said, this is a great song. I relate to the lyrics. It happened to me. I'm going through this. And that's great. That when that happens, it's an amazing feeling, because that's the reason that I write music, so that people can go through a journey and not have to suffer it or as much as I did,
Okay, so tell me, what is your inspiration for writing music? I know you're a music writer too. You write your own songs?
Yes, I do write my own songs. And my inspiration up to this point, I think, is whatever happens in my life. Like, I've inserted some stories from other people along the way. Like I hear stories that are good and try to put them and fit them into my songs if I think that it's a story worth telling. But for the most part, and especially in the Irreplaceable and Mad Sexy albums, they are stories that I went through. This is my life being told through stories, because I think that I go through things that a lot of people go through. Things like I've never thought of my life as, woo, this is extra special. It only happens to me. You know how people usually say, this just only happens to me. It's like, no, it happens to everybody. And I got a friend once telling me, I was like, this happens to me a lot. And he was like, this happens to everyone a lot. And I think that the things that I go through happen to people. So I write about those things. I write about the downfalls of love when I'm feeling a certain kind of way. I write about everyday stuff, but I think that I write it in a way that people just find it appealing, because it's not as metaphorical as some other writers, right?
Yeah. So let's try see if it plays. Let's listen to one of the tracks here. This is the intro, right?
Oh, that's the intro to the album. Yes.
including UK #1 single Roll the Dice and Green Time. Best R&B soul song of the year, Rock. And Woman, The Place Each Memorial in Chapter 2. Ian Gordon, you're replacing available everywhere now. Follow Ian Gordon at Ian Gordon. Subscribe to Ian Gordon Vivo. And follow Ian Gordon on all streaming services today. Ian Gordon, you're replacing the new album. Listen now.
Okay, that is cool. That is cool. You know, your voice is
Thank you
really
so
good.
much.
You know, you remind me of a few famous singers, and you know, you're nobody can tell looking at you and you're listening to your music. They probably get confused in that, you know, that you might be somebody else. You know.
I do I remind you of like Justin Timberlake or Robin Thicke or someone like that?
No, actually not Jessica. You actually remind me of I forgot his name. You know, he was like he used to write so many songs. I think he was a shorter height, but he was African American, and he wrote so many songs. If you remember him, I think he got a lot of Grammys. I thought he had like 15 Grammys or something. So he got, but he was into really a good songs. It just you know, when it was Boys to Men and those, you know, Michael Jackson time, you know, so you used to write a lot of good songs, you know.
Right. Yes. And I love Voice to Men too.
Yeah, Boys to Men. So yeah, I think I would. I think your songs have more depth, in my opinion. I mean, I just listen a little bit. Yeah, I've been hearing music, you know, from 70s, 80s, 90s. Big fan of 70s, 80s, 90s, soft rock, hard rock, but you know, pop too. You know, but I think you're absolutely right. You know. It does a lot of things happen to lot of people every time, but how you express or how you create or how you basically come up with those, that matters, right? So, and you're gifted with great voice. Great.
Thank you.
So I've really, I think you'll do really well. Your album will do really well too. So tell us also about some of the other things which you do beside music. I know you write music, but do you travel?
Well, not right now, but I used to. I used to do a lot of traveling. I used to do a lot of going around with, you know, press stuff, and I got to do a lot of traveling because I got to be a part of some Netflix shows, you know, in the production side, not in acting or whatnot, but in the production side of that. So yes, I used to be very active outside of home, but now I can't no more, and I don't feel some people. I've gotten a lot of people who say, you know, I feel like I'm, you know, caged. I need to go out. I don't feel that way. I feel comfortable being at home. I think that I'm, you know what? I'm a person that always feels like the moment he's living or going through is a moment that he's supposed to be living to learn something. So I feel comfortable being locked down. You know, I'm trying to soul search myself as much as possible. But I used to go out a lot. Yes, I used to go out a lot, and I enjoyed a good club. And I said this before. I'm not like one who clubs too much, but I miss clubbing. I miss going to clubs, but all of the rest of the things that I did beforehand, besides going out, are there. Well, no, because I'm lying here because I used to go to the beach a lot, and now I can't. So I miss doing that too. And but I watch a lot of shows, a lot of documentaries. I read a lot of books. So those things I can continue doing.
Okay. So you continue. So that helps you to keep relaxed and kind of with your busy life.
Well, work always keeps me busy. I'm one of those lucky people who always have something to do. Like I'm on this wonderful show today. I was recording a special that's coming out in November for a foundation on Monday. I was trying to survive the exhaustion from Monday yesterday. So yeah, I keep busy. I've been very lucky there during the lockdown to be busy enough to not have to think, oh, what do I do now? And as I said, I'm one of those people who always thinks that in the moment is the best moment to be, if that makes sense. And and when I don't have anything to do, I make myself a to-do list. Like I'll do like morning coffee, breakfast, exercise, running errands. So I'll do that to-do list. So it gives me a sense of discipline and order, and it's been like that for many years of my life. So I'm used to. I'm used to doing it. As I said before, when I decided that I was gonna drop college and do what I wanted to do for my life and be of that 2% that does actually what they want for a living, I figured, well, you need a little structure because you're not gonna go very far without structure. So I figured at an early age that I was gonna be my own boss. So if I was gonna be my own boss, I needed to have my own agenda. And so what I do is I always write down the things that I gotta do, and I follow that order. And I'm not one of those persons that gets confused or that gets anxious because, oh, I have too many things to do. Because I'm into quantum physics, and my mom's friend, she's a wonderful person, and I told her once, like, I have all the things to do. I'm really pressured. I can't deal with it. And she said, well, you'll handle them as any great person would. And I was like, how is that? And she was like, you'll do it one at a time. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So I follow that pattern. Like, I do things one at a time. I take the time to do them right. And I'm very disciplined because when you're your own boss, there's no other way around it. And this is for your audience listening too. I don't want to say that I got the best advice. Not one head doesn't have all the best ideas, but if you are in your life and you figure that you're not moving at the pace that you want to move, then what you got to do is set some order for yourself. And you don't need your mom, your boss, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever to tell you when and what to do. You can just write it down and begin by, keeping that order. And at the end of the day, when you go to sleep and look at that list and say, oh, okay, check, 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 I did all these things, then you'll say, oh, I accomplished a great day. I'm going to go to bed so that I can be rested for another great day tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. And that is, I think a simple and very effective message is, you don't have a lot of people actually don't think that way. They think that there has to be a special formula for things or success or thing. Well, actually, if you are a satisfied person and you chase your ambition and you that's what you're passionate about and you're gonna go, that is the simplest answer and that is the best answer, right, for a lot of things, because everything then goes from there. Gradually you will see that your mind, first of all, you're relaxed, you're enjoying it, right? You get to enjoy every day. Then, also you seem to be, very easy to connect to. A lot of people like me who have never met you feel that, you are like my buddy or person which I have known for many, many years, which is great thing, that in life, you will see that it'll help you to go really farther because, you can understand and connect with people. That is, I think, a great thing. And it also probably reflects in your singing. And, I'm sure that, that we wanted to, for audience, wanted to play some of your, videos here. And let me see if we can get, here we are. Okay, I'm gonna go to play. Is this the one you said we could play, or is this a copyright one?
You can play all of them. I don't think that you'll have an issue with the copyright. I'm I think.
So, like
Thank
I was
you.
saying, you can sense, that's what I was describing, feel like I'm going out and walking through the street, and it is very reflective in your music and personality. That is a great thing. Like I said, so I think keep up your passion, and, you'll definitely reach where you want to, so that is really good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Okay.
much. That was a wonderful experience that we had during that video. And
Oh, yeah.
we have another one that is not on the website yet that
Mhm.
just came out, and we did that one during the lockdown. Like we had the lights, we had my sister's friend was there, and my sister was like, "I'm gonna write you a video," and I was like, "Okay," and we did that one too. We always have wonderful experiences, and I think that shows on camera.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. I mean, it's very simple. It's like, you can feel, you can connect. So that's a great thing. It doesn't look like artificial. Like
Thank
fake.
you.
So that, which is great thing, in my opinion. I mean, that's my 2 cents. I can give you that, my 2 cents. So my highly, I listen to definitely your music. So I, wasn't following you before, but definitely makes sense to check you out. And also tell us, you say your sister helps you with some videos.
Yes, she is a screenwriter and a producer and a director, and she's been in the business for quite a while now. Just in recent years, successful, but she's been like everyone in the business, trying out for quite a while, and she is she's now thriving, which makes me very happy. And she's written all my videos, like from the first one that we did that was I Heart in back in 2011. She's done all of my videos, and we were really young when we did that one, and we had no budget whatsoever, but we had the funnest time, and we've had that dynamic, and it's actually cool to have like the same person direct and write all of your videos because you can see how we evolved together. She
Mhm.
as a writer and as a director, and myself as a performer within the video. I think we've gotten better with time, or at least that's what I like to think.
So also tell me, so with working with your sister, is she very bossy for you, or she?
I'm glad you asked because yes, the question, I know many artists will come on your show and say, no, we always have like this energy, perfect, positive. Nah, she's bossy and she likes to boss people around like in normal life. Like I get her because she's a director and she can't help but direct life even when she's not on set. So she bosses people around. Like I'm a performer and a producer and a songwriter, and sometimes I'll go like and I'll be listening to whatever, like a show or a record, or I'll be watching a movie and I'll start opinionating on it. And I had a friend of mine that they used to say, I'm asking you to listen to this song. I'm not asking you to produce this song. It's already been produced. So I understand her personality because I'm a bit like her. But yes, we do have a hard time. And her boyfriend of 10 years is the producer, is a co-producer of all the videos and the cinematographer of all of them. So and so they have a lot of creative commons, but they also have a lot of different views on how to get something done. So they'll start bickering, and she'll be like for the last video that we did, the one that just came out 2 weeks ago, chapter 2. She she made me do 45 full different takes of the song in the same spot. I sang the song live, every single one of them. And so she was working with some Universal Music artist. This I don't know if it was Universal or Warner or Sony. There was artists from a label, And she was working with them this past few weeks, and she was like, "I'm so frustrated. Some of them didn't know the song that we were supposed to do." And I was like, "You need to value me more, you know? You scream and shout, but I gave you 45 takes, 45 perfect takes of the song for you to be able
Wow.
to cut." And so yeah, but you know, it's a work environment, and sometimes we some people say, "Oh, you know, you can't work with family. It's best if you don't." But when you're a professional, you got to learn to know the difference. Like, she's my sister outside of set. When we are shooting, she is the director. And even though this is a music video, not a movie or a show, you know, this is a music video where I'm the main thing and I get to have a say on things because this is my image and this is, you know, me reflecting there. As I always say, you know, they're not going to say, "Oh, you know, the staff on that video was terrible." They're going to say Ian's video was terrible. So they let me have a say on things because of that. But at the end of the day, it's a work environment and she knows her craft well and I trust her and I know my craft well. And so there's going to be differences on set, but you got to understand that once the camera isn't rolling, you go back to being family and you got to know that difference. Like, you can't hold that professional grudge over the familial environment, because then it becomes mixed. Like, there's a lot of people that do it in romance, right? They get involved romantically and they work together and then they end up fighting. You can't mix those things. So I think that it takes a lot of professionalism and a lot of temper to not mix it into work. But yes, definitely short answer to that question. Yes, she does get a little bossy. Yes.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing because, my experience is that, females tend to be more focused on, they are very focused on whatever they're doing, which is great because unfortunately men tends to be distracted very easily. So, we are like, we are like, our brain is searching for stations or something.
Right.
So because we can't be just on one task for too long. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for coming to our show. And any final thoughts or message you have for my viewers?
Well, remember that you can either succeed in life at doing what you love, or you can either succeed in life at doing something you don't love. So I would suggest that you try doing what you love before you condemn yourself to not doing what you love. Remember that the key to happiness is waking up and feeling like you don't have to go to work because it doesn't feel like work, because you love doing it and you do it without a paycheck. That's the one thing that I always tell people. The key to being happy is waking up and doing what you want. And that they can follow me on all social media. Like,
Yeah, give your social media. Yeah, I put it down. I think it's I had them at before is the Ian song. What is music .com?
IanGarinmusic.com. Yes, that's the
Yeah.
website. And Garin is Guerin. IanGarinmusic.com. You can check out the website. It takes you, it leads to all things Ian Garin. You can go to the website, and they can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at I am Ian Garin. And on all streaming services, just typing Ian Garin. Again, Garin is Guerin. And as you see it written in the screen, you can just type my name everywhere and I'll pop up. I'm there.
Okay, well, was good luck on your album, and we definitely highly encourage a lot of my listeners and viewers to check you out. And it's so cool talking to you, and we feel that we have known you forever, but I know it's not true. But
Thank you so much.
Take care, and good luck. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You take care.
Bye.
Bye.
When Moby first met Camellia in the forest, they were just kids having some fun, yeah. They were young and of course they fell in love. He would dance just to see her smile, little did they know they wouldn't see each other for quite a while. If only they would know their love would stand the test of time. This is real love every time we touch. Through all the times that have come and gone. This is real love every time we touch. We still remember Cicada's love. This is real love, real love, real love, real love, real love, real love. We still remember Cicada's love. My heart has always been with you. 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 17 years time kept them away from the love, but the hand of fate brought them back again, yeah. Time had taken its toll and she couldn't remember. That's when Moby started dancing, the memories came back. A love from long ago, the feeling in their hearts was a love set in stone, and nothing will tear this love apart. This is real love every time we touch. Through all the times that have come and gone. This is real love every time we touch. We still remember Cicada's love. This is real love, real love, real love, real love, real love, real love. We still remember Cicada's love. My heart has always been with you. 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 My heart has always been with you.
Hi, I'm Rocky Kramer, and you're watching Lifestyle TV USA.
Hello, my name is Jeanne Roberts and I'm your Mrs. DC America 2020. You are watching Lifestyle TV USA, and I am asking for your prayers for me to win the crown of Mrs. America this Saturday. Thank you so much.
good evening or good afternoon, whichever time zone is that. But let's welcome our guest today, and her name is Orsika Julia, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, great. And we were having conversation before this, and it was very interesting that I lived in UP and she's also Upper. And people who don't know, Upper is the upper part of Peninsula of Michigan. Really a nice place to live, and I have great memories of that place. So I am so happy to see her, knowing that she's from that place. So let's welcome Orsika. How are you doing now?
Oh my gosh, I'm so super great. We just got home about 15 minutes ago from a blizzard because I currently live in Grand Rapids and we have blizzard conditions. So it reminded me of living in the UP. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, so I'm loving it.
Okay, great. Yeah. I think, the Grand Rapids I used to, whenever you had to go to Lower Michigan, of course. And I'm sure you have been to Mackinac Island many times.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great place. If anybody didn't visit Mackinac Island, maybe you should go. That's really a nice place to visit.
I think everybody should go to Mackinac. Yeah.
Yeah, Mackinac is a great place. So today's topic is very important, and that is we're gonna have two sections to that. And it is so important for relationship. Actually, I was talking to her. Our first topic was for relationships. And now this topic is about a saying very important part of relationship, and that is domestic abuse. And the reason, for two reasons, we are approaching Valentine's, and it's important that to realize relationships have boundaries, and those are very important to realize. Anything you do should have boundaries and should have disciplines. And so let's talk a little bit about first, what is domestic abuse or what?
So there's domestic abuse and there's domestic violence. And they're both when your partner, your domestic partner, intentionally will, how can I explain this? Will intentionally cause harm to you, either physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Like it's an intended behavior.
Okay, so that is their intended behavior, and same also stands even if it wasn't unintended, but you can tell that no, it hurts, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because some people are like, oh, I didn't mean to hurt her, but when it's a pattern, it might be a subconscious intention. So I'm not saying the abuser is like, oh, I'm gonna punch her in the face today. It's not a conscious choice, but it's still a choice from whatever they experienced that led them to that existence.
So that is very important. So, what I see in relationships, it's both ways actually, but of course more between usually for men, that they don't realize that their action might hurt, or there could be something, or it could be even, spousal relationship, could be friend, could be colleague. So I think first thing is very important for all of us for awareness is to say, I'm sorry, but this action hurts us.
Yes.
Right. And you can be very polite. You don't have to be, in any way, but you can be firm and you can just say, I'm sorry, but your action, your way of asking, or maybe you meant it, you didn't mean it, but it hurts us.
Right.
And, it could be anything. It could be any bias, right?
Yes. And that's the important thing. So when you're in a healthy relationship, then you can say, hey, your action really hurt my feelings. But when you're in a domestic abuse situation, then the partner's not going to listen more often than not, right? Oftentimes abusers are narcissists. Not all narcissists are abusers, but oftentimes abusers are narcissists. And so they're out for their own agenda. So you can say, like, again, in a healthy relationship, what you did yesterday or what you just did 20 minutes ago really hurt my feelings. But oftentimes the abuser will be like, that's your problem, because they're self-serving and they don't care about the other person's feelings.
Mm-hmm. And that is so true. So absolutely. So in that context, but I'm sure those have also probably originated or gone bad after some time. So maybe I'm talking about the really initial phase, maybe Because I think one thing I see is many times, especially females will ignore some of these,
Oh, absolutely.
and they will say maybe he or she will change, but that doesn't happen.
No, and that's where boundaries are so important, right? And I allowed my boundaries to not exist, and that's how I ended up in an abusive situation. I had low self-esteem, and I didn't set those boundaries, and I didn't say this is acceptable behavior and this is not acceptable behavior, because had I said that, then I'm 100% certain that I wouldn't have stayed for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Had I said that in the beginning, I would have been like, you know what? I'm out. Your behavior is juvenile. But I didn't understand the concept of boundaries at that point, especially in a domestic relationship. I just didn't understand it. And, no matter how old you are, it's okay to give yourself grace to not understand the dynamics of certain relationships.
And I always find, I have interviewed few, domestic abuse survivors, and one thing is they always like to share is that they wish that they had done something earlier, or they should have consulted or talked to their friend or somebody, or well-wisher or anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very important to realize it's not a normal thing. And
Right.
It should never be. But, I understand some of maybe relationship, they think it's part of it, but it's not. Right? So
Yeah, that's not healthy.
yeah, it's not healthy. And then, so those are very important. Now, let's also talk about what do you think actually makes it more vulnerable? Let's say, is it some habits, or is it maybe, let's say somebody is drinking, somebody is having these gambling issues, or something? Does that make it work?
Well, so interestingly enough, when I was with the abuser, when he was drinking, he was actually nicer.
Oh,
So which is really backwards, because oftentimes what you're saying is totally true, that the alcohol or the gambling or the whatever else is what triggers the misbehavior, the bad decisions. And so, yeah, my situation was just very unique in that when he was drinking, then he was actually nicer. So I would oftentimes hand him a drink because I couldn't deal with the reality of who he was, without the alcohol. And so I would just hand him a drink and But usually the alcohol and those addictive personalities exasperate the behaviors for sure.
And also it's important to realize that, it is kind of universal, unfortunately. Domestic abuse, violence, we have seen all cultures, some more, some less. And it's been, prevalent. And yes, you're right, drinking, gambling, maybe extramarital affairs, cheating, all can make it a kind of trigger. But the problem with behavior is there already. Right. Those could be triggers, but so let's say if normal person loses job, or they have financial hardship, or they're drinking, not everybody will be having those issues. So yes, those can be triggered, but we have to understand the problem is the pattern. The problem is the behavior itself is wrong.
Right. And that behavior and that pattern started not just when, my situation. So in my situation, the pattern didn't just start when we met, right? Uh-huh. The pattern had been there for years and years and years. So it's really important for people to understand that this is a problem that the abuser is having internally. So let it be upbringing, whatever happened in their life, right? Or let it be brain damage, because oftentimes, there could be brain damage and then that jars the brain and all of a sudden they're not behaving appropriately. So I know that most people want to throw those stones at the abuser, but if you look at them as the human that they're created to be, and you really delve into their past, then oftentimes you can see what, I'm not condoning their behavior. Please understand, it is not okay, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at them from a human perspective, then you can see what triggered them to lead them into how they're treating other people. So most commonly, their self-respect is 0. Because if they had any self-respect, they wouldn't behave in the ways that they behave. So what caused their self-respect to be, like below sea level, basically? And if you can grasp that, then you can see it from a more human side, and it's easier to forgive yourself for putting yourself in that abusive situation and the abuser for abusing. And forgiveness is really the key to healing completely.
Yeah. Okay, and actually that is true. But we'll talk also about. So I think also tell us a little bit. Since it's first of all, I would like to basically appreciate that you came on this show and sharing. It means a lot. It means a lot. I mean, you need a lot of guts and strength to share that painful memories and share that for good of people. So to understand, so nobody else in your situation, or maybe hopefully not, but somebody is in that they realize that this is wrong, and then they need to get help, not have problem like the experience you had, right? So that's the whole point. Absolutely. So tell us what thing you think, if you look back, I'm sure hindsight is 2020.
Always.
So if we look back, what things you think you could have done a little different?
Well, definitely, like I mentioned before, set those boundaries. And let me just back up here real quick. I just really appreciate being invited onto this podcast. Tremendously appreciate it, because it is important to speak as a domestic abuse survivor to other domestic abuse survivors. Because we have entirely, as a culture, I guess even worldwide, honestly, when you're a domestic abuse survivor, nobody speaks of it. It's very hush hush. And how can we heal others, and how can we help others come out of that quicksand if we're not willing to speak about it? So anyway, that all being said, boundaries, if I would have appreciated boundaries a little bit better, then I would have been able to avoid a lot.
And that is true. So, so awareness, boundaries, and then other thing is self-value.
Right.
Basically value yourself. No one, no human being, or not even animal, nobody deserves. So their values for everyone. Everybody is unique. Everybody should be well respected. And everybody, it doesn't matter what your ethnic background is, what colors you have, what religion you have. We all should have respect boundaries, and we should respect it. People can have opinions, but you cannot go below a certain level, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And that's, self-respect and boundaries, those two things. I wish I would have respected myself more, and I wish I would have set boundaries. But if I would have done that, I wouldn't be in the situation. And so I wouldn't be able to help those who are either in it or just getting out of it, or have been out of it for 8 years and still feel lost and like they're in survival mode, because that does happen. People get out of abusive situations and they're just in survival mode for a multitude of years, and they don't know how to get out of that pattern.
Exactly. And also tell me a little bit about what was helpful and what wasn't so helpful.
As far as getting out of the situation?
Yeah.
What was helpful? I had a great support system. So my family was very supportive. They knew before I did. They knew before I admitted the red flags. So when it was time to get out, they were extremely supportive. And they were like, what can we do? How can we help? You can move here, here, and here, because my family is spread throughout the U.S. So that was very, very helpful. What wasn't helpful was living in the abuse and living for fear of my life. The system, as we hear often, is broken, but it's broken on both sides. So by no means am I saying, oh, I'm the one who was abused and I should be protected 100% all the time, because there are people who play the victim role.
Yeah.
Right. But what wasn't helpful was, once I got out of the situation and I went to group counseling in a women's shelter, I didn't know what the next steps were. There wasn't like a now what, to heal more effectively. So I had to really pave my own path.
Mhm. So tell me about, you said your parents, your family they were supportive. What about your friends?
They were supportive too.
They were-
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And then were you able to find resources like who to call? You say you had maybe shelter place or.
I did. Actually, there were a lot of resources. And I honestly didn't want to admit that I was in a domestic abuse situation. I just knew that it was bad and I needed to get out. So I didn't go to the domestic abuse hotline because there is a domestic abuse hotline. I didn't call them because I had the great support system. So I ended up just reaching out to local organizations from where I was living in the Chicago area, asking for help with, setting up first and last month's rent and car insurance and that kind of stuff that was not in the budget at the time, but I needed car insurance to get to work. So there's plenty of resources out there for the immediate help.
Oh, also, I want to ask you, you think you were able to find, shelter, of course, but let's talk a little bit, I think very important point you mentioned about is finances. So what is important about is for everybody who's listening and also watching is make sure, you have some kind of money with you for rainy day. Could be, I hope you don't have the abuse situation, but it could be anything. But you should have these resources only known to you.
Yep.
And that is where a lot of abuse survivors, actually, they cannot get out because they are financially totally dependent. And then there's nothing they can do.
Right. That is so true. And it's so important to make a plan. So, abuse doesn't just happen overnight. Like the person doesn't, I shouldn't say it doesn't. That's a horrible broad brushing, but more often than not, abuse isn't like, oh, all of a sudden he punched me in the face. It slowly adds on and adds a snowball effect, right? And so when you see that snowball starting to roll down the hill, then take the action steps and start making a plan. So by all means, have a little cash stashed away. Definitely contact the authorities. What helped me is I went to the sheriff's department and I said, this is what happened to me last night. I am planning on moving my children and myself out of state. What do I need to do? And they said, get yourself to safety and we'll discuss it afterwards. So a lot of times the women and the men, because men get abused as well, they don't have a plan of action. They just want to get out. But if you have the opportunity to build a plan of action, let the authorities know that you're leaving and let them know why.
And so those are, and also like to know a little bit about some of the problems. You said some areas where you were in that Chicago area, and was there difficulty in getting county or usually it's a little more process, social service get involved and they come and then they, so was that a problem or was that also, I would like to ask you, was there some, in your case, physical abuse or no?
There was. Yep. Absolutely.
You had injury? Yeah, sorry to hear, but also you had injuries or?
No, actually, I was raped. And there wasn't, so basically at the time, it happened in Oklahoma. And I went to the sheriff's department to let them know I was leaving. And then I got to safety and I wrote my statement. And they took the statement to the DA, the assistant DA, and they basically told me, I think the words were something to the effect of, I don't want to quote it and misquote it, but the words were, because you guys were married, you were his property, he could do with you whatever he wanted to.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, okay, so now I'm property. I didn't realize that we were, as Americans, in that state of mind. But then as I'm doing the work that I'm doing, I see it more and more often. It's like, oh, you're property.
Yeah.
In the South.
Yeah, that is so sad, and that is why it's important actually to realize that there are boundaries for even spousal relationship. There is not that you can. Nobody is each other's property. No one.
No.
And other problem which I have heard and is that they don't have anybody to do examinations. So is that true?
So I didn't get an exam because, again, he was my spouse. So there wasn't, they were like, well, how do we know that it wasn't consensual? Well, because by word should be enough, and okie dokie then. But I don't know how the testing is now. There's probably not enough testing. Honestly.
Yeah, there's not enough testing, and that's also, it's sorry to bring back all those.
No, it's okay. This is what helps others. It's okay.
Okay, I didn't mean to do
No,
that.
it's truly okay.
Okay, so also like to know, do you think it was, the police or the DA wasn't so helpful, and I guess that explains why we do these kind of programs, to first of all, to realize again and again that nobody's anyone's property, not even your pets. Okay, so they are not your property. You cannot abuse your pet either. So forget your spouse is human. So that's not even you can't even think. But that's how the problem is. That's how the culture is. Okay, it's not specific to any religion, race, or anything. Unfortunately, it is cultural thing, in my opinion. Is that?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. The culture down where we were in Oklahoma, it's very the boys club. Are you familiar with that? Yeah, it's very like,
I know.
Yeah, so one of the abuser's close friends was the assistant DA and saw the name come through and is like, so it's just the good old boys club. Is that what it's called? Yeah. And so a lot of the legalities happened that way in Oklahoma until I brought everything up to Illinois. And I was like, okay, buddy, now we're on my stomping grounds, So then things shifted, and I was able to find a lawyer pro bono because they're out there and they want to help. So I found a lawyer pro bono that was helping me get my first PPO on the abuser. And that was amazing. And then when I moved to Michigan, I ended up with 2 more PPOs against the abuser. Those are personal protective orders for those.
Okay. Now I understand. Okay.
And so, yeah, it was thankfully in the North, they're a little bit more user friendly and they take your word for it. And they're trained more, I believe, in understanding the body language of the abused.
Okay, so then also I would like to know, do you, I think we mentioned a little bit about there are different regulations in each state. So tell me a little bit more about, I know you went through this help with certain state or jurisdiction, they didn't have very friendly rules, and we cannot believe in this age, we are talking about difference in these rules and regulations. So what was, you said North was helpful and then Oklahoma and South, and those were not so friendly on that?
Yeah, they just, again, being somebody's property and saying that to somebody who's just been abused and you're fleeing for your life, literally, like that was, I can smile about it now, and in a weird comical sense, it was just like, are you guys messing with me? Like, do we really live in the US and you're telling me I'm somebody's